Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, and we are starting a brand new series here on the California YouTube channel, and we are calling it Millennial Mondays. What that means is every Monday, I'm basically going to be breaking down a whole bunch of topics that us millennials face, whether it's stuff we've been through, stuff we're going through, or stuff we just don't understand anymore because we're getting older, or just generally why everyone hates us. I don't know how long we're going to keep this series running for. It could be a while, or it could just be until I run out of topics, or if the show flops hard, then it's being culled immediately. So watch it, tell your friends about this series, because I feel like it's going to be really relatable for a lot of people, because I'm just going to be talking about a lot of the shit that really grinds my gears and probably grinds your gears too. And also, if you're not a millennial, it's probably a great insight as to why we are what we are. So you're probably looking at us thinking, God, they suck, and most of us do. And now you get to know why we suck. So for the first topic on the Millennial Mondays series, I thought we'd talk about generational slang, because it's definitely something that we all experience where we think what we're saying is trendy, it's on topic, it's what everyone knows, and we are the best generation ever for coming up with these words. But the reality is, as you get older, the words that you're saying become really revealing of your age and how long you've been on this planet. Like, you can't tell me when you hear someone over the age of 30 use the word funky that they're still in the loop. Because they're not. But also, it's interesting because sometimes we're not aware of when our slang that we grew up with in our generations, we're not really aware of when it becomes old. Like, because we're using it all the time. So I'll be saying things like lit, and I'm like, it's still cool because I'm using it. But like, if I use that around a bunch of like 16-year-olds, they'd be like, ooh, what the fuck is lit? We say uh, bussin' now. I don't fucking know. I don't know what they say. But see, that's what it is. I'm so out of touch because I'm using my own slang. I'm not aware of what slang they're using. And then I'm like, am I like too old? But I don't feel old. But am I? Being a millennial is hard, y'all. But then also, when is it too cringe to use their slang? Because like, if I'm trying to be relatable and I'm using I'm hitting them with a good no cap or a say less, like, am I? Is it cringy that I say that? Because I know it's cringy when I say that to people my age, but if I'm trying to say it to people who I'm trying to relate to, is it cool? Or am I giving off like dad at a barbecue? Like, come on, kids, let's get this party a rockin'. Like, what? Like, I don't know. It's. I wish someone could tell me so I can be cool to everyone. Because one of my greatest fears is literally me saying something and some kid younger than me going, ooh. Like, that would just unalive me right there. Unalive. Anyway, first of all, let's go over some millennial slang. So yeah, if you're a millennial, you'll probably know these. If you're not a millennial, I'm sorry. First up, adulting. It's a phrase we use when we're talking about being grown-ups. It's like, oh, I've got too much adulting today, or oh, I did I went to the bank. I was adulting. Actually don't know. I don't actually use the word. I also trying to stop using the word adultery because I'm like, that's a completely different thing. But yeah, adulting is like when we're doing grown up shit and it's just like, I don't want to be an adult, but whatever. I'm adulting. It's like the equivalent of saying, yeah, I'm doing grown up stuff, which isn't supposed to be sexual. Adulting's not sexual at all. Adulting's very dry and boring. So maybe it could be sexual. Next up, we have the word like low key. Not the Marvel star, but low key means like chill, or like on the down low. Like, say I have an opinion on something and I'm like, oh, low key wasn't really a fan of that movie. or something. I don't feel like I'm doing this well. Like, I feel like I'm not explaining this as good as I can, and I feel like I'm making it confusing to everyone else, and even I'm letting millennials down. But yeah, it's like low-key, like, don't tell anyone, or like, like, it's like, oh, that bitch is wearing, oh, no, sorry. Oh, God, sorry, that bitch, sorry. My friend is wearing a dress that I don't like, and I tell my other friend, I'm like, low-key, hate Charlene's dress today. You know, like, that's low-key. The next millennial slang word I can think of would be shook. So, like, if something has shaken you to your core, like, it's just, wow, it's blew you away. Like, bitch, I'm shook. Like, when Arya killed the ice guy in Game of Thrones, shook. Can't remember his name. What did he have a name? I only watched the last season, and half of it I couldn't see. But yeah, it's like I'm trying to think of like good examples. What's a good example that got me shook? Bendela Creme eliminated herself on All Stars 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race. I was shook. We were shook. Like, the whole world was shook. And that's how I feel. That's the way I'm explaining it. The next thing we have is hashtag blessed, which I'll go back to the hashtags in a minute. But hashtag blessed just means like, like you're lucky, you're privileged. Like I I'm in a great house. Hashtag blessed. Or I'm eating good tonight. Hashtag blessed. Or my ex-boyfriend got hit by a car. Hashtag blessed. I don't, something like that. But then we also just added a lot of hashtags onto everything because we were in the same generation as Instagram growing up. So obviously Instagram is still around now and Instagram's used by everyone. But we were the generation that kind of grew up with Instagram when it started. So hashtags were a new thing to us. And it was a way for us to get to know everyone and get to like get our content trending and all that kind of stuff. So we just started putting hashtag in front of everything and just making it a thing. Like I was like, oh, I'm sleeping tonight, hashtag pillow. Or I'm eating at McDonald's tonight, hashtag Big Mac. Or I'm gonna get laid tonight at the club, hashtag deep in this punani. Like shit like that. Shit like that. We just put that on it all. I don't personally use this next one, mostly just because I don't think it's ever come up in conversation where I can drop it casually, or just because my friends are like mostly white. But the next one is Gucci. Like, like it's all good. Like, like how y'all doing tonight? Oh yeah, I'm Gucci. Or, I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why I don't use this one, because I feel like I'm inherently white by all my friends. They've like got the white on me. But yeah, Gucci. The next one is a very popular one that we all used to use, on fleek, which usually referred to eyebrows. On fleek just basically means on point. So basically, like when someone's eyebrows were like looking sharp, looking good, you give them a good, hey, your eyebrows are on fleek. But you could use that for like other shit too, like the outfit's on fleek, my bedroom's on fleek, my pussy's on fleek. On fleek. The last one I have is a very popular one again, and one that kind of just became a normal word for everyone to the point where it almost lost its meaning. LOL. Lol. Like, obviously stands for laugh out loud, and we just kind of started, we always used it in text and shit, and it was like, throw a lol on it if the text seemed like too harsh, even if there was nothing to laugh about. It could have been like, oh, I have food poisoning, lol. Or, oh my god, I lost all my hair in a tragic hairdressing accident, lol. Because, you just use it just to try and, like, alleviate the sentence, because otherwise it just sounds real, like, dark and shit. But it reaches the point now where we're using lol so much that it doesn't even really mean much anymore. It's like the equivalent of, like, a punctuation. It's like your full stop, your comma, your exclamation mark, and your lol. But yeah. And no one ever, and then I think there was a point where we also started saying LOL out loud. Like, instead of like literally laughing, we'd just say lol. Because that was cool at the time. It was just like, oh my god, I was like, oh my god, that girl just fell over, lol. Or, oh my god, that bird just stole that chip from that dickwad, lol. my examples today are 10 out of 10, and I'll hear nothing about it. Lol. And like I said, like these seemed good to use at the time when I was using them in my prime, like when I was like 18 and shit. Like it was like this stuff was good to use. But now, unless I'm using it around people my own age, I feel ancient. And I'm only 29. Like I'm not that old, but I'm old enough that there's already two generations before me, or two generations younger than me, that are already in their own worlds. So it's like are we the equivalent of a boomer to them? Like, because like it goes, what is it? It goes baby boomer, boomer, Gen X, millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. So like, are we the boomers to the Gen Alphas? Because that's awful. That's awful to think about. There's some 2-year-old right now who's gonna call me a boomer when he can talk. In fact, you know his first word is just gonna be like him FaceTiming me and going, "You boomer." And then we try to learn what the Gen Z slang is, because obviously there's a lot of Gen Zs now who are legitimately old enough to be in like workplaces and stuff. They're not just kids, they're like legitimate, like they're in their early 20s. Like those are the Gen Zers. So like they're using slang like cap and no cap, which means lie and no lie, if you didn't know that. So if you're ever looking at like a TikTok or an Instagram video and there's like people posting like cap emojis, that's what that means. But I don't know if that's still a thing. Am I too old? Did I learn that and now it's gone out? I just can't keep up. Another one that they use is hits different. So it's like, you know, if something like is really moving, it's like, yo, that shit hits different. Like, you know? I already feel significantly older trying to explain this to myself. Main character. You know, it's like you're the main character of your story, which I think is pretty dope. It's dope? Is dope too old to say? Which generation does dope belong to? Fuck, I don't know. Anyway, main characters. Like you give me that main character energy, like you're the lead in your own story, you carry that presence, and it's like, hell yeah. Another Gen Z slang is say less. But basically it's just, it's like someone's like, oh my god, that's such a great story, say less, I don't need to hear anymore, that was dope. Or it's like, no, wait, maybe that's not it. Hold on. Okay, I just googled say less. Say less is a concise way of expressing agreement or acknowledging that you understand what someone is saying without adding any further comment. Okay, so it's like someone's like, ayo, Beyonce's the best of all time. I'm like, say less. Oh my god, I got it. I fucking got it. Can talk to youths. So this next one I tried to include into a couple of conversations. Unironically, just to see what would happen. It didn't go well. They had to question if I was okay. This next one is called facts, no printer, which means that's the truth, or like, you're absolutely right. So I think someone said something to me like, oh, that movie was really great. And I was like, facts, no printer. And they were like, what's wrong with your printer? I've never heard anyone use this in real life, but that being said, I'm not hanging around with Gen Zers a lot of the time. So maybe if you're in high school, people are saying this and it's cool. But me using it in an office space genuinely just arises confusion around the utilities of a fax machine and a printer. So it ain't working for me, but if it works for y'all, go for it. The next Gen Z slang I have here is vibing, which basically just means like chilling. It's like, what you doing tonight? Oh, I'm just vibing. It's like, I'm just watching this movie, I'm just vibing. Which I think, you know, I can get on board with, and I feel like that is one that's safe to use no matter what. I don't think I'm gonna get called out for being old by saying I'm just vibing. So I think we're safe with that one. However, this next one, I don't feel I can get away with anymore, which is bussin'. Bussin' just means that shit's really good. So it's like, oh, how are those dumplings, man? Oh man, they're bussin'. How's that video game, bro? Oh, that shit's bussin'. Nicki Minaj uses the word bussin', and she's cool. Why can't I be cool too? That shit's not bussin'. So like, because I'm on TikTok, I learn a lot of these phrases without really trying. Sometimes there'll be there'll be like a comment throughout. I'll read the comment, and then someone's like commenting something, and a lot of people are commenting the same thing, and I don't understand it. I go to Urban Dictionary, look it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it is. But then I'm like, yeah, when does it become? When am I too old to use them unironically? Like, I generally do enjoy throwing out a no cap out there or a vibing. But then it's like, legitimately, is me saying vibing the equivalent of my dad saying groovy? Because I don't want to be like that. But then maybe it's okay for me to be like that. Should I care enough? Am I thinking too much about it? I used to be like the youth correspondent for all my friends my age, because basically I was the only one who was like keeping up with all the trends. I'm on social media unhealthy amounts, and like I just always knew what was going on. But now it feels like two things are happening. One, I don't feel like I can keep up with it anymore. And two, is it weird that I know this stuff? Like, it feels like the equivalent of like when your mum looks up something to try to talk to you. Like, it's like your interests are Pokemon, so your mum goes and Googles Pokemon, and then she comes up to you and is like, oh, how's that Pikachu doing? Oh, did you know that Eevee can look different just like people? Like, like, I ain't trying to be like that anymore, but I don't want to admit that I'm old. This episode has just become like a fucking midlife crisis for me. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I feel like that's it. I literally just use this to vent about how fucking old I am. And I feel like that's what it's gonna be, because Millennial Mondays are just gonna be me talking about millennial shit that we're all going through. So like, I actually had a lot of fun talking about this. It feels really stupid, but it's loads of fun to like complain about all the stuff that we as a generation are going through, and why everyone hates us for just being us because we grew up in a certain time, because I was born a certain year. Anyway, but work. If you want to see other topics, let me know. Let me know what kind of topics you think bug you as a millennial. Or if you're not a millennial, let me know what you want to know about us, because we're like onions. We're like layers. That's a movie quote from Shrek, which came out in the early 2000s. That's a millennials movie, and Shrek is something that millennials are obsessed with. Maybe I'll just do a Millennial Monday on Shrek, because I feel like we have an unhealthy obsession with Shrek. What's that thing where Shrek flies through the window and takes that kid away? Oh, that sounded bad. Maybe look. No, don't type that. Anyway, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll be back next Monday with another episode. Bye.